Hello and welcome to Body Bags. My name is James and I'm your Sunday night reviewer. And this evening I decided to review a film from my younger days. One of the films that was like the early horror films I was really into. Oh, can't see that so well. Apologies. And this is House. This kind of links in quite well at the moment because I'm really tired. I just moved into a new house. So the last 3 days have been extremely hectic. So I just opened up kind of the first box I came up against. And yeah, it was the Arrow box. And well, one of the Arrow boxes. And I had a quick look and I saw this and I thought it's rather fitting. So how about a character like Roger Crubb, don't we? Who's just inherited his aunt's house. So we follow Roger Crubb. You might recognise William Catt from Carrie. He's been in other bits and pieces, but I think that's the kind of the main one, and maybe House that the people know him from. But he's a horror author, and yeah, he's had this kind of tragic event that happened in his past. Him and his wife, they lost their son, disappeared. She's a film actress. He's like I said, a writer, and I think they either divorced or they just separated or something like that. But as I mentioned, his aunt passed away, and she left him the house that you just saw then, and the house from the film. So, like, we learned from a couple of other characters that kind of she's a bit of a crazy lady, but there's things that she knows is going on with this house. So it's kind of supernatural kind of thing. So things start happening to Roger, like opening a cupboard and like monsters coming out, and then other monsters disguising themselves as his wife, and then turn into this dead, bloated body that's trying to chase him around the house with a shotgun. It's a horror comedy. This it's well, it has funny elements to it. I wouldn't say horror comedy, but it's quite well done. The horror elements when they pop in, the comedy elements. Sorry. You also have what's his name? George Wendt in this. He's pretty well known within films, but he's in quite a few different horror bits and pieces, and he's the neighbour in this, so it's quite cool having him. And then, so the more that's going on, the more you start to see this supernatural kind of element that's happening within the house, but it's very linked to him. It's not just this like random stuff. It's like everything's linked. They know who he is, and they know that he lost his son. And so we're learning more and more about the characters, and it's kind of like there's this one particular ghost that we kind of find out towards the end that's kind of leading all of this. So we have different flashbacks through this film, and it's he was in Vietnam, Roger Cobb, which is like William Catt, and he even mentioned towards the start of the book that the start of the film, a new book that he's writing is about his experiences in Vietnam. So yeah, we have these flashbacks, and there's like this one member of his squadron that he's kind of this big guy, and like he gets basically killed. But when the film goes on a little bit more, and we actually find out that through a kind of a flashback within the house, rather than like a flashback when he's writing, it's like, so it reenacts this kind of flashback that he didn't actually die. He was he asked Roger to kill him, but he wouldn't do that, and then he got basically dragged off, and later on we find out that he was tortured before they killed him for weeks, and this is what kind of this vengeful spirit vengeful spirit comes back, and it's this Ben, Big Ben, who's kind of orchestrating all of these elements. So he's the one that actually kidnapped his son and things like this through when the kidnapping happened. Well, the son disappeared at this house, which is why there's kind of many emotional things for Roger with this. But it makes a lot of sense now how it all ties up. And yeah, I think that's kind of like a run through of how everything is. There's some funny bits, like I did mention. There's the dead bloated version of his wife that yeah, he's kind of chasing around and stuff, and she's chasing him, and then he's like cutting it up, and then the hand is escaping, and it's been stolen by dogs, and then reappearing on children's backs and stuff like that. It's a nicely paced film. It's I think I have this nostalgic link with this. As just mentioned to my buddy Marco earlier that I was watching this, and he was like, he doesn't have that nostalgic link, and he's like, it's kind of aged quite badly, this film, and I kind of try and take that nostalgia away from it, and I can see it's not like the strongest film. It's like it's kind of quite good that it managed to get like 3 sequels for it. Well, 2 real sequels, and obviously the 1 fake one. Well, I think the 4th one's real, actually. I've only seen the first 2 sequels. I've still not seen the 4th one, even though I have the box set. And I've got the box set with the book, and I still actually haven't read the book. Like, how bad is that? So I have this, and I should check it out. Yeah, I will kind of get around to reading this at some point. But it's a fun film. It's a very like 80s film. It's like towards the late 80s, I think this one was. 85, sorry. And this is produced by Sean S. Cunningham, but the actual director is Steve Miner here. So names that we know within the horror realm. But I think most people have probably heard about this film, but if you've not seen it, definitely check it out. If you like your kind of like your 80s horror with a splash of humour thrown in, it's worth it. And the practical effects look quite good. This is the bloated dead wife, Big Ben. It kind of looks pretty good. Is it 1 or 2 ropey bits and pieces when this big creature's coming out of the closet? It reminds me of that towards the end of Hellraiser, the creature that's going down the corridor. Okay, you can't see like the wheel and the mechanism that you do in Hellraiser, but it's kind of that sort of thing. It's kind of, yeah. Check it out. It's worth a watch. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. We start tomorrow with our theme week. I won't mention that. I'll keep that as a surprise. So you check in with Glenn, so BDG reviews tomorrow, and you start with our theme week. Okay. Thank you very much. Goodbye.